Okay, in this demonstration, I'm going to show you another way on how you can kind of do still lifes. Now, again, I have a little thing right here just so you can so I can hold this up a little bit easier, but I'm a lot closer this time, so you're not going to see everything because I have to kind of keep this up, so sorry about that. But I'm all kind of set. Again, we're focusing on this. This is a really nice one about this one in terms of where it says you have these really fun shadows that are kind of be cast, in the background. So you want to see if you can kind of incorporate that. If you get done early, again, always incorporate the background with that. I want to kind of spend maybe a little more time on this. So same technique starting off is I'm going to start off with this. Again, you do not have to do this, just how I was kind of taught. Now this one, I want you can still be as precise as you want to, but I also want to kind of let you know that you can kind of focus on different parts of things. And you can also just, when I say focus, you can like zoom in, and you can also be more loose, with it and try to use some of your creativity with this as well. So this is our metal set. We have that, that candelabra thing that's in the middle, and then I have all these glasses and different cups that are all over. So I'm going to kind of look at it and decide that I'm going to probably focus on that candelabra on this one a little bit more. And I want to kind of keep it off to the side over here, so then I can have room for that shadow as well. And I'm not going to be real exact with it this time as you kind of start working on this. So I'm going to kind of have fun with this one. And I'm using it kind of as a little more inspirational versus, something being really exact. There's a lot of stuff going on in this one, and it'd be kind of overwhelming to try to get all of it. And especially as it's trying to be precise. So I'm just kind of laying out kind of a general idea of where a couple things are at. And then I'm going to kind of just start having some fun with it as I'm playing around with it. So you can already kind of see is like I'm missing a lot of the outside. I'm zooming in on just that tripod candelabra thingy. And I'm not going to be crazy super exact with it either. So I'm getting the bulbs in there, getting those shapes, have that. I can kind of see this piece of metal right there coming up and over. Kind of same thing over here. I'm not going to be able to get all of it because of how I've initially kind of drawn that. Behind this one right here, you can see there's some other cups back there. And this is where I might just start having a little bit of fun. So I'm using this as inspiration. And then all of a sudden, I think I might draw maybe something a little bit different back here. Where I might just start interpreting that glass that's behind there as more of a giant bowl. Okay, because it doesn't look like that, does it? Okay, there's that small, glass that's right there, but it doesn't look like this. I'm kind of interpreting this myself, and all of a sudden just, really enlarging it. I'm not planning ahead on this, at least before I started this video, I wasn't. And part of the fun that we'll be doing with these at the end, we're only going to do three of these, is any of these, you can go in and you can start adding things. Like all of a sudden, I might want to put like a giant rubber duck in here, kind of thing. Or I might want to have a bunch of stick figures, jumping off and doing different, kind of events, or whatever's kind of going on in there. So you can kind of plan ahead a little bit as you start doing, and just let your creative mind, decide, what exactly it is that you might become. You might try to turn more into that fantasy kind of thing. So I might be done with the foreground. Now I have that shadow, okay, because that's part of the fun part of this one. That I'm gonna kind of just real gently here. I need to get my bearings again. So I'm looking directly across from here. Okay, so I can see from this line, as I go across on that shadow, from my perspective, is kind of the larger part of this, and then it goes up and it's not quite perfect because this is over. If you look directly above here is where that should be at. So I should have that over a little bit, which means that probably should have been over a little bit. But because this one is not going to be focused on that, I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to kind of leave it as it is because it's not, for this one, it's not that big of a deal. Your first one, I do want you to do your best. I'm trying to be exact. A lot of times in art, you try to learn the rules, and once you learn the rules, then you start breaking the rules. So you're trying to develop your technique. Once your technique's developed and your skill level is up there, then you can kind of start having a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden, right here, I have my mirror, pretty hard shape, is right there, and I can't see anything in this, at least not right now. I know there's a beveled edge on there I can see, and this is all just kind of, I can see some chairs back there. I can just see some randomness. I'm just kind of throwing lines just so it's not just a plain background. So I have this. This is symmetrical. I'm not going to be able to get the whole thing in. And then I have the shadow of this thing, really large, is behind it. Okay. So now I would go in and I would do the same thing I did on my other one, where I would start getting this. I would start making this look realistic. Laying down more of the pastel, being confident with my lines, figuring out what those shadows and those highlights are at, going with my eraser, picking things out, and just doing the part that makes it look good. Okay, because you have it all laid out, and you can kind of jump from it from there. Now I can still keep adding stuff onto there, because as I look at this, I notice that, where are we at here? Like right here is part of the windowsill. So with the background, a lot of times you just want to leave it unfinished. Okay, so I have that part there, I have this part here, I have a little more of the windowsill, I have the blinds, I have the texture of the board, or the, kind of going across here, the, I can talk, the brick, sorry about that. That's not right, this is right. So the brick's right in there. I would take my eraser. Try not to spend a lot of time erasing, if you can, try to get it, pretty close, and just kind of keep going with that. And just kind of filling that space in, just so it doesn't look white all over the place. So I would spend a lot of time on the part that I want to focus on, and I would leave the background just like this, just as lines, okay? If you have time, maybe you can go do that, but sometimes it's fun having parts of your piece unfinished and focus on the parts that's important when you're just trying to capture the essence of it. Okay? On this one again, you can kind of play around with enlarging things, shrinking them, adding things, but you will have time to add things later on. So good luck on that part again, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.